Let's bring in our guest. You guys know who it is. Mondays joins us, covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Get his thoughts on the new OC, new DC, new coaching staff. As always, brought to you guys by BetUS. Please welcome to the show, Kory Woods. Kory, what's going on, my man?
Yo, what's the deal?
Yeah, Kory, so I gotta get your thoughts. Lions made some hires over the weekend. Well, really over the last week. They've been interviewing guys, not on offense, but on defense mainly. I'll start with the first one. I want to get your thoughts on the first hire. We'll go defensive coordinator, Calvin Sheppard. You actually were the first one to put us plant that little seed in our head about the possibility that Dennis Allen could still be available. And actually, after you said that, he didn't take the Bears job right away. It took a while. So you were spot on with that. We credited you all week with that. And then now Dennis Allen officially joins the Bears. Yeah. Now the Lions hires someone. So, Kory, you were spot on with that. But what do you make of the internal promotion with Calvin Sheppard?
Well, first off, I think it was the smart move to make. The thing about guys like Dennis Allen, Robert Saleh, a lot of the quote-unquote popular names that people wanted the Lions to go after, those would be home run candidates. But again, with guys like that, they're also going to probably be in the mix for head coaching roles again. So then, if let's say you were to land a Robert Saleh or a Dennis Allen, you're probably looking to replace your coordinator in another year or two. I believe that by promoting Kelvin Sheppard to defensive coordinator, you now do something that you had with Aaron Glenn the past 4 seasons, and that's create some continuity. There's not going to be much of a drop-off in the message because Sheppard has been on Dan Campbell's inaugural staff. He's been here since this thing has been built up. It's not, and it's, again, just because he was groomed by Aaron Glenn to be a defensive coordinator, that doesn't mean they're going to run the same scheme. It just means that he was being prepared for this role. And I think that it shows some good faith as well because they were there. I mean, obviously you were going to lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. You're going to probably lose you're probably going to lose some of those other guys that might want to follow those guys to their respective destinations. So being able to keep in a well-respected defensive coach, one that has the respect of the players and in that locker room, one that was right in the huddle, in the foxhole with Aaron Glenn making some of those calls. I think it's a smart move. It shows across the league that if you come to Detroit as a player or a coach, you're going to be given a chance to be groomed for success, and that if you do well, you don't have to necessarily leave the organization to get a promotion. You can get promoted inside the house. So I think it was a smart decision overall.
I interrupted Kory to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS, specifically BetUS Casino, which I'm a big blackjack guy. I like a little roulette as well. I know a lot of people out there are casino people. And, you can go to the casino or you can go to BetUS and try out their BetUS Casino, and there's offers available. Did you even know BetUS had a casino? Well, if you didn't, all our followers who like slots, live casino dealers, yes. Take advantage of BetUS, their amazing sign-up bonus, 200% sign-up bonus for up to $5,000 or 250% for a crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000. Head over to BetUS, check out the casino, and have some fun, but always gamble responsibly. Now, let's get back to Kory.
Yeah, Kory, I do want to kind of ask you the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, John Morton's kind of the one that's supposedly getting hired. Obviously, it's not official, I don't think yet, but the word on the street is he is the new OC. What are your thoughts on that hire? And just kind of on the side to where everyone felt like Tanner Engstrand was going to get that job. And honestly, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it felt like everyone was saying, "Hey, a vet DC in bringing a Tanner Engstrand as a rookie OC," and it was opposite. And then Tanner doesn't get that job. What are your thoughts on that whole situation with the offensive side of the ball and how it'll look kind of going into next year?
Well, as you said correctly, it's pretty much spoken about as a done deal, but anything can happen at the last minute. You never know. The one thing that we have heard is that he was flying to Detroit for an interview and they were working to hire him. So I mean, I guess it's with the intention that if everything goes well, they would make him the new offensive coordinator. And so what I think about the hire is a couple of things. For one, I believe that it's smart that, again, Dan Campbell went with somebody that he has familiarity with. They worked together during their time on the Saints under Sean Payton. He also worked here in Detroit for a season. He's actually a guy that is a mentor Tanner. So you have that aspect working there as well. When you look at his time in the league as an offensive coordinator, more time in the league as an offensive coordinator, because he worked for a sole season under on Todd Bowles' staff with the New York Jets. I would have looked at some of those numbers. They didn't really have that great of a staff. So there's that. I believe, John was here when things were starting to kind of get rolling with this Lions staff. So he could have still been here had he not went to Denver and taken a promotion. And look at some of the work he did with Bo Nix. This is a guy that is in Rookie of the Year consideration. So I think it was I'm not so sure about the hire. I guess it was just it's smart to go with somebody that you're comfortable with. Maybe you don't want to promote two people new to this position in your coordinator role. So I also look at it like this too. When you, again, with the Sheppard promotion, there's not going to be too much of a drop off in the message, and then on the offensive side, you're bringing back somebody that has familiarity with this team with what Dan Campbell wants. So I think on that one it might be a null and void hire, but it's one that makes sense if you just want to kind of tie in the relationships and familiarity.
And Kory, kind of speak on it a little bit more. Like, you look at the coaching room right now, the coaching staff, I should say. It's a revolving door. Guys are going in, guys are going out. When it gets to after the Super Bowl, you're going to see the same thing with players. Is there anybody, when you look at the Lions free agent class coming up this year, you look at guys like Kevin Zeitler, Ife Melifonwu, Tim Patrick, there's a lot of guys that are up for contracts. Is there anybody that you expect to see back in Detroit next year?
Ooh, that's a tricky question, to be quite honest. I think I can see them bringing Zeitler back for sure. I know there were talks there about, whatever he wants to go do as far as his career. They're going to have conversations with him. So I believe Zeitler is a guy that you can expect back. When it gets to some of those other guys, it gets kind of tricky because a lot of those guys could be replaced in the draft. So I would also say I think they would try pretty hard to bring back Carlton Davis. It's possible he could leave out and go get big money. I could also see him following Aaron Glenn to New York, but I could see Carlton Davis as a guy that you would definitely try to bring back. So, between Davis and Zeitler, I think those would be two priorities on high up on their list to bring back. Some of those other guys, I don't think you have to make them necessarily a priority.
And just real quick, Kory, just to follow up. When you look at AQM, Al-Qadeed Muhammad, do you think he's a guy just because of his late season success that they try to bring back next year, or he's a guy that you think draft that can replace that void?
I think some of these now he's a guy I think you want to bring back. That's another name, but just for depth reasons, maybe you want to go ahead and look in the draft or in free agency or in the trade market and add another starter alongside Hutch. I mean, depending on what you decide to do with Zadarius Smith. But I think that, yes, keeping Muhammad is just for depth reasons and the way that he played throughout the end of the season. That is definitely a guy you want to bring back. Because, again, you need to build depth on this team, especially with how they were decimated on the defensive side of the ball. So if you're able to retain a guy like him on a favorable deal, he's somebody you definitely want to bring back.
Hey, Kory, let me ask you this. All right, you're looking at the NFC Championship, the AFC Championship games. A lot of talk recently has been, is Jared capable of bringing a Super Bowl to Detroit? And I know you don't have to answer that directly, but based on what you've seen out of Jared Goff and coming off the playoff game he came off of, where are you at, and where do you think the fan base should be at with faith in him that he'll be able to get it done, seeing the level of quarterback play in the conference championship games?
I think you should be pretty confident that Jared Goff can at least get you there. I mean, let's look at last season's playoff. Jared Goff didn't play poorly last season.
He didn't.
That playoff run wasn't on him. He played some of his best football. So, I just think that had some play calling went in a different direction last NFC Championship. The Lions could have went to the Super Bowl that year. They went into the half with a 17-point lead. When you look at this year, when you look at the Commanders game, Goff just unfortunately had picked that day to have a bad game. But on top of it too, I think I've said this before on the show. If I didn't, I apologize. But I believe still that he was concussed after that hit. I mean, just because he cleared protocol does not mean that he was still not feeling the effects from it. I know there's this thing about, mobile quarterbacks, you need to go in this direction, you need to go in that direction. I mean, when you look at the numbers, these are just facts. Goff was second in passing yards. I believe he was fourth, and he was fourth in touchdowns. Lamar Jackson only threw four more touchdowns in him. He was second in. No matter of fact, I think he was first out of all the players that played all 17 games. I believe he had the top completion percentage, and he had the second highest passer rating. He just had a bad game against the Commanders. So when you look at those metrics, it's why he's an MVP candidate. So if you can't, I mean, why wouldn't you think he's gonna be able to get you to a Super Bowl again? What is the alternative? Really, because some of the quarterbacks that some people want to compare him to, oh, he's not a Patrick Mahomes,
Right.
He's not a Lamar Jackson, he's not a Josh Allen. Well, no, Sherlock, there's only 3 of those. 29 of the teams in the league will want one of those guys. So it's you know what I'm saying? It's just like you just hope that he just does not have one of those stinkers that he had, and he had 2 of them this year. One game they won, this game they just unfortunately didn't. But I think he can at least get you there, whether the Lions win or not, whatever. But I mean, he just had a bad game, and from things I've heard in passing, he might not have been feeling well going to the game as well. So it's a lot of things out there. But
yeah, Kory,
I think Goff can definitely get you there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Kory. I'm all in on that. I want to ask you a question because we had this conversation last Friday. It was kind of a big debate on our show, actually. The people watching know, but Jameson Williams, he's due to where he can get a contract extension this off season, and obviously over the last few years, everyone knows kind of the suspensions and all of that. But then this year, he came on the scene and he looked really good this year. What are your thoughts on the Jameson Williams extension? Do you think it gets done? Because the conversation, I was on the side to where I was like, hey, get the deal done now so you're ahead of the market knowing what he can do. And the fellows were kind of on like, hey, want to see another year out of him before we pay him some money and extend him. What kind of side do you fall on when it comes to the Jameson Williams contract conversation?
It's a trick. That's a tricky one. I'll say this much. If you're able to get Jameson right now at a favorable deal, then I would say go ahead and do the extension. Aside from that, if he's looking for the big money deal, I mean, hey, you're in a position where I think you're holding the cards and you can kind of like just say, hey, go earn it, go prove it. I mean, because as much as he's a young kid, he's made some immature mistakes and he tries to do well. At the end of the day, the NFL is a business and the best ability is availability. And he has had aside from injury, he has had his availability impact in Detroit based off of bad decisions. And that's just is what it is. So I'm not going to sit up here and say guys like him with his speed are a dime a dozen, but there is a possibility that you're able to go out in the draft at some point and get another receiver at a discount where you can get him on a rookie contract and he can provide some type of production, maybe, who knows, maybe better. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 4th rounder. So Brad Holmes is known to be able to find talent anywhere. So I don't think there's right now a rush to go ahead and pay him his money, especially since he just got his first 1,000-yard season. I would say right now you're in a really good position to go ahead and just roll the dice and see what happens next year, unless you're able to get him on a really, really favorable deal. And I think that I don't see that happening. I can see him wanting to go get that big deal because he has the talent.
Yeah. Well, Kory, appreciate you taking the time today. As always, you always say, I got you. I'll join the show. So appreciate that. Keep up the great work. Follow Kory on X at Kory Woods. And check out his stuff on MLI.com. Kory, we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Appreciate you, Kory.
There you go.
Appreciate you, Kory. As always.
Yep, taking the time to join the fellas. This video is brought to you guys by BetUS. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, FisherCTSports.com.